Good morning. My name is Sharon Forte for Pawhuksa Schools here in Oklahoma. I also help with our JOM Parent Committee and and the NASA Club, that's the Native American Student Association. And I'm honored to be able to come and speak with everyone on All Relatives Day. I've been helping students throughout school, including my niece that was living with me. And so I really like to be able to touch base on some of the things that we did as far as jumping through groups, being a relative, helping your student. So my name is Sharon Forte. Chinambemi is my name. That's my clan name. It means our bear clan, a member of the Jued-Nikachi, the Oto Missouri tribe of Oklahoma. I'm also a descendant of the Mescalero Apache tribe from New Mexico, the Creek Nation, and Pawnee Nations as well. So my educational experience includes the Oto Missouri Head Start, the St. Francis Indian School in South Dakota. I was there in junior high. Ponca City East Middle School, I went there. That was my 8th grade year. And then I graduated high school from Frontier Public School. And then after I went to college at Haskell Indian Nations University. While I'm on this page, I wanted to speak a little bit about the different entities and why I listed them. The Oto Missouri Head Start is a Head Start that's through our tribal programs. But one of the cool things was as a parent, myself, my son went to school there. And while I was in school there, my mom was involved with our parent committee. And so you can start at a young age, like Head Start, and make sure that you're advocating for your student and what their needs are. We're learning a lot more about IEPs and students that have special needs, and it starts at that age. And those are things that we can develop for our kids as far as policies to help them get through their um, schooling. And then St. Francis Indian School was a time I lived on the Rosebud Reservation. So the school itself was a BIA school. And so it was a different experience for me. Um, when I moved back to Oklahoma, I went to Ponca City East Middle School, and that's a 6A school. And so we had over 400 students just in the 8th grade class alone. So we had our own building, and it was very overwhelming leaving the school on the reservation where you have about 20 kids in your class and sometimes combined classes. Our junior high, we were in modulars outside the building. So you had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade sharing those buildings, those modulars. So it was definitely a different experience. And then the public school that I graduated from, Frontier, we capped at about 30 kids for our senior class. So I've experienced a multitude from on and off of the reservations, public schools, tribal schools, and then with 6A to Class A schools. So I've been in a mixture of those things myself, getting my own education. And so I understand for parents and relatives that are trying to navigate those school systems for your students, there's a lot of policies and procedures and things that are maybe outdated, but you as a parent can advocate at any level for your student, whether it's parent committees or just reaching out and asking what you can do to help the schools too. So here's a little bit more of my background. I applied to high school in the fall of 2007. Now, I did not apply for scholarships in high school. I had a class that we were given a chance to go and research universities, research scholarships, things like that. We were given time, but we weren't really guided. And I'll explain that a little bit more. Now that I'm able to help high school students, I will directly send them a link and they'll go and I'll show them how to sign in. I'll show them how to update resumes and CDIB cards, transcripts, things like that. So with applying for scholarships, you really have to know which steps to take and not just people overdo it because there's a lot that goes to there's a bunch of different layers. And so I wish I had a little bit more encouragement and things that were as easy as what we're provided from like the American Indian College Rentals and thing. And it's super easy to fill it out. And those are things I wish I had when I was a student. So I'm really glad I'm able to provide that to my kids. I call them my kids, my students. So I worked a part-time job and I just thought I could live off my savings, but that was a huge lesson learned when I got to campus, I noticed that students were getting a Pell Grant, and I didn't understand how that worked. And so I went to the financial aid office, and they were amazing. They helped me with everything. Um, I was under guardianship. I lived with my grandparents, and my grandfather had disability. And so that was kind of a barrier for us because I had to understand how I could submit his information and include all of the things that they were required without my grandparents knowing how to navigate um, the FAFSA and getting on the computer and uploading documents. So I was really fortunate that I had my aunt that was kind of our go-to. So I had to go to the financial aid office, and they gave me a list of things I needed. And then I was able to contact my aunt, and then we're able to get that from my grandpa and get it in the system. And it took a while, but we were able to explain that that was a different situation. And since there were funds available through like my tribal assistance program, the higher ed, I was able to secure about $11,000. I got about 5,000 from Pell and about 6,000 from my tribe. It's really important that you ask questions and you ask for help. I would have not received anything and struggled and probably dropped out of school had I not gone to the financial aid office and had friends that were like, hey, these are available. If you don't know where to get the answers, then go here. And so that literally was a lifesaver. It was a huge game changer. I'll say that because a friend of mine who was also on the basketball team with me in January of that year, she was going to the Success Center and scholarships. And she actually had me come with her and was like, you come here. This is what she fill out. And so she helped me set my stamp up, received an additional 1,500. And so I did my groceries from school. I was getting enough money to survive. I was able to get an apartment. I was able to buy everything that I needed. I didn't have to work, and I was basically paid to go to college. And now with my degree, I'm able to support my family and career, and I don't owe any student loan debt. And so it's really important, even if you're late to the game and you're needing help, go ask for help. It's their job to help you. It's their job to make sure that everything is getting turned in and you're meeting these deadlines. And there are ways that you can not necessarily challenge those deadlines, but document what you're going through and the things that you need to help you. And a lot of those boards and panelists will look at your applications and see that you're trying and see that there's a need, and the funds are needing to be spent. And so that's a huge thing that students don't understand. There's so many programs with the funds available, but if you don't reach out and you don't ask for help, then you're not going to receive any of those. And I was very fortunate that I went to high school and our fees were only $215. And so any of the money that I got, I was able to use to live off of and take care of myself. Um, so this is our topic that we're going off of today. Being an active parent or relative in your student's education. So I wanted to talk about connecting with JOM, Title VI, higher ed programs, and how you can collaborate with multiple people in the community, people at the school, and then yourself with other parents to make things better for your kids. And so when you are enrolling in a school district, there should be information in allotment. We are through our JLN is through the local tribe. And so the local tribe in us is a stage nation. So we go through them uh, and we have applications that are set up. There's a Facebook page that tells when the meetings are being held. And then they have outreach programs where they'll have, we do for our back to school night in the end of July, August. And that gives parents time to fill out surveys, see if their student's going to need tutoring, if their student needs supplies, if their student needs help with ACTs. There's a lot of things, and we're really flexible with the JOM and Title VI. We've tried to collaborate a lot, and there are a few things that Title VI can't do that JOM can, and vice versa. But as long as you're reaching out to both and making sure as long as your student has a CDIB card, they qualify for JOM. If they don't, and they're through descendancy, like a parent or grandparent, then they'll qualify for Title VI. And so what we try to do is meet the needs of the kids who maybe don't qualify for JOM. And so Title VI can step up and help with the calculator or with things that they're not able to get through one program. And then I'll mention the higher education program. So every tribe's different. Every tribe has it set up on the amount of funding that you'll receive and the amount of resources that you can get. So make sure you're reaching out. I help students, the senior class, the last year we had Seneca Cayuga, we had the Osage Nation, we had the Comanche Nation, Walpole Nation, the Cherokee Nation. I have a volume with decision evidence too. And then what is another? So all of those tribes were able to send like graduation cards and higher education applications. So we can really reach out to each one of my students in the Title VI program. We represent 24 different tribes. And so we make sure we collaborate with them at some capacity, even if it's just finding their address and helping the student reach out. I help with juniors and seniors with college and career readiness. And so that's one of the things we do through the tribal higher ed or tribal enrollment programs is once the students are turning 18, they'll call and ask for their own copies of their CDIBs and be able to advocate for themselves and what they need through their tribe. And so there's a lot of resources through those three programs in the school. And what I love about the Title VI and JOM is it's so flexible that you get to create what your objectives are and how you help your students. We have 4 objectives in Pawhuksa: academic readiness, cultural enrichment, and then we have dropout prevention where we do a lot of college and career readiness. And then we help students with behavioral or prevention programs like drug and alcohol prevention, bullying prevention, suicide prevention. Those are the things we should do to help our students because, 10, 40 years ago, we didn't have COVID and we didn't have a lot of the mental health things that we're learning about today. And so with Title VI, we're able to modify our objectives and provide activities and programs to meet the needs of what our students are facing. And so that moves me on to collaborating with counselors, teachers, and administrators. I'm also a teacher in the school. I teach Native American arts, and so I'm able to get on and help students. I also have a study skills class and a service learning. So I have students that are helping with a grant to become teachers. And so we'll look at all their activities and all the things that they are required to do for that program. And then I'm also able to pull up grades and grades and assignments. So if I have a student that's missing work and they need to see what kind of assignments they need to turn in, I'm able to do that. Also, our counselors are the ones who help them enroll to make sure they're getting all their credits. And so these are people that you really need to collaborate with. I invite our teachers and administrators to our Title VI parent meetings. And then I'm also there are times where I have to be on the agenda for the school board meeting. So if we travel out of the district, it has to be approved. And so those are some of the things that I can do as a Title VI person in the school is be on that school board agenda. If there are things that need to be addressed, or things that are going good, we like to also send that information over to our school board so that there's a balance in what we're doing for our kids. And our administrators, they really want to hear about how they can help. And so don't be afraid to reach out. Those are 3 really major sources that'll help your student with their education is collaborating with the school counselor, letting your student make communications with their teacher and advocate for themselves, and then also including any administrators. I'm the Title VI director. We have 4 different principals, and so I'm in direct contact with them if there's anything that we need for their building through the Title VI grant. And so that's a really good relationship that we have so we can be the advocate for your student as well. And the third thing on this page was community. Reach out to your community. There are youth programs, summer camps, conferences, training opportunities, and internships Um, the Osage Nation has a youth work program, and so they're able to pay the youth to work within the our county, Osage County. And so I request to have my students base with me at the high school and we do summer camps with pre-K through 12th grade. So we'll take trips, we'll do any academic enrichment, cultural enrichment that they need. If they need to do some online classes over the summer, we offer credit recovery. There's training opportunities for parents and students. If somebody wanted to, learn how to drive a bus or come and work in the school systems, we have training opportunities for them over the summer. Conferences that our teachers and students can attend. One year when I was working at Frontier School, I had a lady and she was wanting to go to school in California. We found this summer internship where she could go out and stay at the local tribe and do research projects with the University of Berkeley, I believe. And so that would have been a great opportunity. There are plenty of those out there, but it just takes students and parents communicating that, whether it's to your administrator or your JOM or your Title Six, we can find ways to aid for those. And that's what I really hope you get from this is just to understand there's so much information out there. Sometimes you have to dig deep to find it, but a lot of those too are specific to what your student wants to study or what the background is for you to apply. And so here's a little breakdown calendar. My niece lived with me. She graduated in 2021. And these were some of the things that we went through with her. In August, she transferred from Frontier to Pawhuksa. And so we had to get copies of transcripts, make sure she had everything as far as credits to graduate. And then looking at her GPA, she actually transferred here with a 4.17, which is really neat because her junior year she took college courses. And so her GPA was a little bit higher. The next thing we did was signed up for any of the support programs, including tutoring, ACT prep, and testing opportunities. And we took advantage of getting extra ACT vouchers and getting her some more testing. That way we could get that score up as high as we could. I know that we're in December, you're ending your first semester, so make sure you're getting all your credits. Usually that's not missing anything. And you're just the end of your fall semester, but also a lot of applications are going to be starting to open up. So make sure you're aware of all of those. January, February, your students on track. Make sure this last semester they have what they need. If they need to take another course or they need to drop a course, that's the time to do it. And then in January, February, a lot of your scholarship applications are opening, including FAFSA. So make sure that you're keeping up with those monthly. And then the last one I have is keep track of deadlines. I know I missed a deadline when I was in high school, and I made sure that we did it with my niece. Don't get overwhelmed waiting for May. May in itself can be challenging with finishing up graduation and just overwhelming with, trying to make sure everything's done. You got a ton of deadlines this school year that your kid's done with school. So if I'm urging for make sure you're getting some of that done before it gets too stressful. Because I know for me, I'm getting ready for summer school. And so I really had to make sure I had everything in order before the school year ended. Okay. So pictures about traveling. Okay. So these are things that I help my students, my juniors and seniors, even freshmen. We'll look at their GPA, know your student's GPA, understand if they need credits before the semester ends. Like I said, we offer credit recovery over the summer. So if there's something that you need to take again as a student, we're able to help with that. But you have to understand what your GPA is and how it's read and what you kind of do to increase it or decrease it. It's really important. And I do start that out with my freshmen when I nominate students for the Oklahoma Being Honest Society based off of the GPA. So I check my GPA from all my freshmen through my seniors. And if I have a kid that's super close, I'll pull them in and show them. Or if I have a kid that's got a really low GPA, I'll pull them in and show them, like, hey, we need to make some steps. We need to do some things, but don't let them get further than one semester without looking at that GPA, because it changes every semester. You've got 2 semesters on each of the 4 years. Next is your ACT testing. There are resources for ACT prep and opportunities to test often. We brought in a gentleman last year named Chad Cargill, and he brought his test prep books for 20 of our Title VI students in the high school, and it was really great. These students were able to use them throughout the year and increase scores on all their testing. And this is major because the higher you can get on your ACT, the more funding you're going to get for college. And so it's something as simple as getting some prep in and making sure you have the materials provided. When Chad Cargill came, he was able to bring us the newest edition of his test prep books. And so I have those now, and I let my juniors and seniors use them this year, and then my juniors and seniors next year will be able to use them. So we're really looking at increasing those ACT scores. And resume building. Keep track of all the activities that your student does, whether it's volunteer work, athletic or academic accomplishments, art contests, poetry, STEM activities, anything that's going to benefit them. There's a lot of programs with STEM that are out there, and we've actually partnered with one of them, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to make sure, like, if your student created a little model card for a science fair, I would put that on their resume, because that's something that they did. It was a science fair that they competed in, whether they want or not. It's something that they did. And if they're going into the field of science, engineering, technology, any of that, that's going to help with that on their resume. Um, and so whatever they're interested in, whatever they're doing, give them praise. And I know students don't think it's a lot right now because they're still in high school, or maybe they're not getting award for their art or their poems, but the fact that they're doing them is huge and major, because a lot of those programs out there are going to want to see what they've done. And so listing that by date and time, just looking at resumes, that's going to be huge to help. And then this is one of the things I wanted to tell parents and students: create email accounts separate from your school email. You have to make sure that you have access to all your information and contacts after high school. You don't want to get to college or be in Sharon and trying to track down an email or an application that you submitted, but you can't open your old email. And so make sure you're giving yourself those opportunities to have that communication with counselors, academic advisors, financial aid office, and any student services that are going to be available wherever you want to go, whether you're going to college or going to the workforce. You have to make sure that you're able to communicate. You did an awesome thing by graduating high school, but now we need to keep that communication that you have, so you can keep adding on to what you're doing. But this is a huge thing that a lot of students and parents don't realize, that all it takes is creating a separate email account and forwarding everything to that before the school year ends. So you want to start doing that now this summer. If you're going to be graduating next May, start keeping track of everything: your CDIP cards, your transcripts, any essays, any applications, any scholarships, anything like that. You want to be able to access it after you graduate. And ask questions. I know I've said that once and twice. There's no bad questions that might be like repeated, but as long as you're hearing it, and if you're needing to understand it in a different way, express that, because like I said, there's no wrong answers. I mean, there's no wrong questions. Um, and there are so many programs and grants to help our American Indian youth, and they're very specific to your area of study or personal background. So these are some of the programs that I utilize throughout my school year, helping my students. Our major one is the American Indian College Fund. We appreciate everything that they do for our students throughout the year to help get them ready. And so I feel like I'm the middleman. So I'm able to get any information from American College Fund, and then I'm distributing it to my parents and my students. We had a parent meeting. Jenna and her team were able to come down and meet directly with our parents, and we had 4 families that had students not only graduating but in college. And so they were like, this is huge. We didn't know we could get help after our students left, Miss Forte or left Front I mean left Eskin. And so it was really neat to be able to get help for those families because they're also recent graduates of Pawhuksa too. So they're going to keep succeeding. And our next one that we partnered with is called the ACES program, American Indian Science and Engineering Society, with any students that are interested in STEM careers. So we partnered with the petroleum company for a marathon after school. And so our students met twice a month with other college students to talk about college applications, scholarships, getting your classes, what you need to do for funding, what helps them. And it was really awesome because you could listen to their story, listen to their struggle. And then one girl talked about how the school she picked wasn't the school she went to because she did a last minute visit and it changed her mind. And so that was one of the things my student did. She wanted to go to a school somewhere else. And then after another campus visit, she changed her mind and she was like, hey, I'm glad I was able to hear somebody else's perspective on that. You don't have to commit to one thing. If something feels right and something's different, and that's what you want to try, then yes, absolutely. And so what this inherits is that my student now, when she goes to college, she'll be able to be a mentor for next year's Pawhuksa seniors. And so it's a full circle program. So not only are they getting help from college kids, but they'll be able to help other high school kids when they get to college. So I was really excited to start that this year with the ACES program, and hopefully we'll have students attending conferences and trainings. I heard about ACES when I was at high school, but I wasn't involved, and I wished I would have because, again, there's so many opportunities to have um, have collaborations with different colleges, but also to get funding to help you with your projects. The next one is the tribal youth opportunities, summer camps, internships. Those are things that we help our students with after they're graduated and getting ready to leave. The youth program, I want to say it's 16 through 24. So we'll have students that are going to be working this year, maybe a sophomore, junior. And so we're able to get them internships and other information and working on those resumes. The Department of Education is a huge one. The Oklahoma Department of Education has a lot of resources for our teachers if they want to include any cultural information into their lessons and their curriculum. We have a ton of resources on there to help public schools throughout Oklahoma. And specifically for the Indian education, we have our own page on there where they host weekly meetings and give a lot of information about things that are being updated for our programs. The NIEA is the National Indian Education Association, and that's a huge conference that brings a ton of information. There's really nothing you can't learn from NIEA. There's so many different perspectives, and I feel like I learn something new every year. This past year, 2 years ago, it was Oklahoma City, and I was able to take couple students down there for their student days. And I thought that was great because students now get to see how many people in the United States are actually trying to help work with Native American youth and different programs in higher education. So my students loved it. And I want to be able to take students next year. And then one of the other programs that helps our district is the Oklahoma Council for Indian Education, OC. They host conferences and they create policies for the Department of Education to help with anything that our Native American students are facing in the public schools. And then I'm also able to nominate students for the Oklahoma Indian Honor Society, their OC, and then puts them in for different scholarships. And so it's just another resource to help with your students. And so I know I touched on a lot of things and a lot of things that I've experienced and that I do for my students. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm always willing to share with the Title VI. I try to be very transparent. All of our candidates on the they know how much funding we get. They know what our objectives are. They help create the budget. And then I have a ton of friends that volunteer throughout the year to help with things like exhibition dancing or hand games or meat pie sales. We try to do a lot for our community. And there's just unlimited resources out there. And that's all it takes is asking those questions and collaborating with the different entities that are available to you. And I've said it before, but those people are in that positions to help you. That's their job, is to help you. So don't worry about asking questions. That's what we're here for. Well, I hope you were able to get some information from me today. My email is SharonMForte@gmail.com. That's my personal email. If you ever want to reach out, if you ever have any questions, I'm pretty quick about responding. I am on summer break, but I'll be working summer school uh, coming up in June. And so I'm available. If you ever need anything, just reach out.